I will show you the world population. Today there are 7 billion people. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where do they live? 1 billion in the Americas, 1 billion in Africa, 1 billion in Europe, and 4 billion in Asia. Most people live in Asia. But the world population is growing. By the middle of this century, 2050, there will be 2 billion more. Where will they be added? No more in America, no more in Europe, 1 more in Africa, and 1 more in Asia. And by that, the Asian population will level off and stop growing. But by the end of the century, before the growth of the world population is over, we expect 2 more billions, and they will both be in Africa. So in the future, there will be very few percent of the world population living in Europe. 80% of the world population will be living in Africa and Asia, and the Indian Ocean will be the center of world trade. This is the population for which we must plan a good life and enough resources. I see 5 major challenges for the future, and I'm not the one to tell which one is bigger than the other, because they must all be handled. The first is climate change and environmental and resource constraint. The second is the risk of war. We've always had big wars that have destroyed so much. The next is the instability of the financial system that can cause havoc in the world. The fourth is extreme poverty that causes instability, provides a safe haven for Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram, and create new diseases like Ebola. And the fifth, perhaps the most dangerous, is what we can't even imagine yet. There may come things which we don't see as big problem, but may be the worst problem. I was more scared when a Dutch politician said that he wanted less Moroccans and he would solve that problem than I was when Putin took Crimea away from Ukraine. That happened the same week. I'm really scared for this racism growing in the rich welfare state in Europe. That can be a big thing, but it can also be something else. I think it's very important not to make the future of the world one challenge. Peace, environment, money. No, we have to handle all these major risks because they interact. They interact. Perhaps we will have war about oil before we have a climate change. Perhaps the climate change will cause fight about food resources and agricultural resources. Perhaps the instability of the financial system will aggravate extreme poverty in a way that climate change becomes a minor problem compared to that horror it will create. So we have to handle a handful of problems. This is not too much. 40 years ago, Bangladesh emitted 2 children per woman, and Norway emitted 7 tons of carbon dioxide per person. Today, Bangladesh emits only 2 children per woman, but Norway still emits 7 tons carbon dioxide per person. Some countries change, others remain the same. It's an obvious observation you can see. So many of the richest countries do not lower their carbon dioxide emission. And then they stand and say, oh, you who are poor down there, you shouldn't have a washing machine. You shouldn't have a refrigerator because it's so difficult for us who got used to this to lower our standard. That won't work. All people in the world want washing machines. All people in the world want refrigerators. They must be constructed in a much, much more clever way. The energy must be produced in a much clever way. They must be recycled, all the materials, and the poor people must grow their economy so that they can use them. But it's the richest one who emit half of the carbon dioxide, the richest billion. Out of remember what we had today? We had 7 billion today. Today, we have 7 billion people in the world. The richest 1 billion emits half of the carbon dioxide. The next emits 25%, and the next emits 12%. That is 3 billion emits almost all carbon dioxide. And then people say, oh, you have to be careful in Mozambique, or you in Bangladesh cannot use coal power. They almost doesn't emit anything. The problem is here. They have to change. If these richest countries doesn't lower, what the heck would make the others to say at a lower level? I don't see that happening.